we wanted to talk through some of the biggest things that organizations across every industry are facing. But first, we wanted to talk a little bit about the drivers as well. Cybercrime, ransomware, business email compromise, targeting of critical infrastructure, it doesn't exist in a vacuum. It doesn't exist purely for financial gain or a criminal enterprise. It all rolls up and falls under certain geopolitical drivers and certain instances and certain things that are occurring globally as well as here at home. And these are the types of things that we need to be aware of. In 2022, there was a lull in ransomware. That lull coincided with the Russian invasion of Ukraine. The reason being was because there were a lot of cyber actors who were focusing their efforts rather than on Western business interests on Ukraine and vice versa. As 2022 drew to a close and sanctions really started to bite on the Russian economy, Russia's IT workers and their workforce, which is fairly sophisticated, suddenly found themselves in a pinch. Well, Russian IT workers generally are not going to be panhandling in the streets of Moscow or St. Petersburg. They're going to turn to something that's a little bit more lucrative. And when the Russian government says that they are not going to turn over these individuals or these ransomware groups to Western law enforcement, that only further incentivizes them to conduct activities. As a result, in 2023 and thus far in 2024, we've seen an explosion in ransomware, as well as increasing costs. In 2021, the cost of ransomware was roughly $25 billion globally. By 2031, we expect that to explode to $265 billion. That's something that is an unprecedented rise in any sort of crime in history. And so this is something that we very much need to be aware of. The geopolitical drivers are going to continue to push ransomware, and so organizations of all sizes and in every industry need to prepare accordingly. But ransomware isn't the only issue. Business email compromise is another critical vulnerability and critical threat that companies face. Business email compromise works by targeting the weakest element of any organization. Of course, that's the human. It works through social engineering. I'm not going to steal Chad's thunder. He's going to go into this a little bit later. But suffice it to say that business email compromise is a very real concern, and things as simple as processes, policies, procedures, and training can forestall the vast majority of business email compromises, which since 2013 has resulted in over $51 billion worth of damages. The next thing that we are going to talk about and that we need to consider on the global stage, and this is something that is actually really, really pertinent because just this morning, Verizon, T-Mobile, and AT&T all reported wide outages to their network infrastructure. This is coming on the heels of the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, FBI, and NSA issuing a joint disclosure of Chinese cyber actors targeting U.S. critical infrastructure, primarily telecommunications. There hasn't been a direct tie to this, but this is one of the geopolitical drivers and some of the very real impact that we have to critical infrastructure, and that there are certain companies in certain industries that need to be even more keenly aware because they are absolutely being targeted by nation states for the purposes of either espionage or cyber warfare. And then finally, the threats that we really need to look at right now are those that I talked about. But over the horizon, the threats are increasing exponentially. And of course, I'm talking about the advent of artificial intelligence. Certainly, AI is going to bring tools that are going to assist our net defenders and assist cybersecurity, but it's also going to enable cyber actors, malicious actors, to more effectively conduct their operations through social engineering, through tailored spear phishing, through deepfakes. These are all areas that we need to be aware of and make sure that we are positioning ourselves and ensuring that we are prepared now and going into the future. With that, I'll turn it over to Corey to finish up the threat update.
What I really wanted to kind of hit on everybody with the threat update is that thought process of, am I a target? I'm not a target, or I am a target. And the best analogy I can kind of give to this, and I'll explain it a little bit more in depth, is threat actors using the scanning tools that they use are like the ocean trawlers that are fishing with massive nets. And those nets, are 400, 500 feet long, and they drop down, 100, 200 feet in the water. And anything that's caught in that net is what they're going after. So, I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're a specific target or not. And these threat actors, I mean, a threat actor could be a 15-year-old kid, just down the street from you that's able to get these scanning tools that he learned about through a Reddit thread. So he just learns about it on a forum, and then he's able to get a direction as to how to go get these tools. They're sophisticated tools, but they're actually very simple to get. And so that mindset of I'm not a target has become irrelevant because essentially everybody's a target. And I mean, on the insurance side, we see losses day in, day out. And it's all from that kind of the mindset of, oh, I'm not a target.